it out. South Korea warns Japan to stop spreading fake news about Seoul's last-minute decision to extend their military intel sharing pact. It says continued attempts to score political points could force Seoul to terminate the pact. Plus, bad news for Beijing. It appears pro-democracy candidates in Hong Kong are scoring overwhelming victories in the city's first district council elections since anti-government protests erupted some 5 months ago. The full results are due soon. Hello, it's 7 a.m. on Monday, the 25th of November, here in Seoul, South Korea. You are tuned in to our early morning edition of Arirang News. Thanks for joining us today. Filling in for Moon Gon-young, who is in Busan for the South Korea-ASEAN Summit. I'm Mark Broom. Let's start with our coverage of the hive of diplomatic activity that's due to start in Busan. So with the ASEAN-Korea Commemorative Summit set to begin, President Moon Jae-in, as well as the leaders of ASEAN member states, have arrived in the host city of Busan now. On the sidelines of the event, President Moon is sitting down with the leaders of 9 ASEAN member countries in the hope of strengthening bilateral cooperation with each of them, boosting his administration's new southern policy. Starting off our special summit coverage is this report by our Kim Mo-kyun.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in kickstarted a string of summits with the leaders of ASEAN member states over the weekend, with Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and the Sultan of Brunei, Hassan al-Bolkiah. And on Sunday, he arrived in the host city of Busan to begin his official schedule. Until Thursday, President Moon will be holding separate talks with the leaders of 7 more ASEAN nations. His meeting with Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen has been cancelled because the Cambodian leader's mother-in-law was said to be dealing with a critical health condition. On Monday, the first official day of the ASEAN-Korea Commemorative Summit, President Moon will sit down separately with Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. He will also take part in the ASEAN-ROK Culture Innovation Summit and the CEO Summit together with hundreds of business leaders from around the world to discuss ways to expand cooperation. The following day, President Moon will meet with Myanmar State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and Laos Prime Minister Thongloun Sisoulith. After that, he will deliver a joint press statement which will likely include pledges to strengthen Korea's strategic economic partnership with ASEAN countries. The South Korean leader will also participate in a banquet with the leaders of the countries along the Mekong River ahead of the first ever South Korea-Mekong Summit set for the next day. After the South Korea-Mekong Summit on Wednesday, President Moon will return to the capital Seoul for talks and dinner with Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc and wrap up a series of sit-downs with a meeting with Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir bin Mohamad on Thursday. The Blue House says the summits will provide a clear blueprint of South Korea's cooperation with the ASEAN countries in a wide range of areas, including agriculture, healthcare, culture, and trade. Kim Mo-kyun, Arirang News, Busan.
Now, President Moon Jae-in, shortly before making his way to Busan, held a bilateral meeting in Seoul on Sunday with the visiting Sultan of Brunei. The two leaders agreed to strengthen their countries' ties in business related to ICT. Lee Seung-jae with the details.
Promising future partnerships on smart cities and ICT-related businesses, the leaders of South Korea and Brunei have renewed their countries' ties ahead of the ASEAN-Korea Commemorative Summit scheduled to begin on Monday. President Moon Jae-in shook hands with Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah, who will also attend the ASEAN summits in Busan. The leaders promised substantive cooperation for the development of the bilateral ties.
ICT, 스마트 시티, 전자정부 등 첨단 산업과 국방, 방산 분야에 이르기까지 양국 간 협력의 잠재력은 무궁무진합니다. 비전 2035와 우리의 신남방 정책이 조화롭게 추진된다면 미래 신산업 분야까지 협력의 지평을 넓히고 공동 번영을 이룰 수 있을 것입니다.
The president was referring to Brunei's long-term development plan, Vision 2035, aimed at revamping the country's resource-dependent economic structure and making Brunei an industrial economy. For that, the leaders agreed to look into specific cooperation projects so that Korean IT firms can share their experience in Brunei's smart city projects, including the Kampong Air Water Village. The leaders also exchanged views on mutually beneficial relations in defense and arms development, as well as active cooperation on security conditions on the Korean Peninsula.
As the ASEAN coordinator, Brunei will continue to work closely with the ROKs towards building a stronger and comprehensive partnership.
Marking the 35th anniversary of diplomatic ties, the two leaders renewed their countries' relationship in a joint statement promising a united push for synergy, not only between the two nations, but throughout the ASEAN bloc. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Now, Busan, the host city for the ASEAN Special Summit, is the first smart city in the world to apply innovative tech in its initial phase of development. President Moon, attending its groundbreaking ceremony on Sunday, said South Korea will expand cooperation with ASEAN in the field. Our Park Hee-jun with more.
President Moon Jae-in says South Korea and Southeast Asia have the potential to jointly lead the global smart city industry. He made the remarks at a groundbreaking ceremony on Sunday for Busan Eco-Delta Smart City.
스마트 시티는 혁신적인 미래 기술과 신산업을 담아내는 새로운 플랫폼입니다. 여기에 아세안과 한국이 아시아 정신을 담아낸다면 세계 스마트 시티를 선도하게 될 것입니다. 그 첫 번째 성공 모델을 부산 에코델타 스마트 시티에서 시작할 수 있도록 관심과 협력을 당부드립니다.
Busan is a government-designated pilot smart city that's applying innovative technologies across the entire city. Through a smart water management system, the city will minimize water pollution while rainwater will be purified into clean drinking water. Robotics will be integrated to various areas, including delivery, parking, facility inspections, and patrols, making Busan the first city to apply robot services to the entire city. The city plans to receive residents at the end of 2021. This is the end product of South Korea's efforts to establish a sustainable city after experiencing how rapid urban development leads to issues like traffic congestion, security issues, and pollution. ASEAN cities are experiencing similar issues, and President Moon says the Busan model can be the answer to their problems. South Korea is already working on at least 20 smart city projects with Malaysia, Vietnam, Myanmar, Thailand, and other Southeast Asian nations.
한국은 아세안의 도시들과 함께 하겠습니다. 부산 에코델타 스마트 시티의 건설과 운영 경험을 공유하며 아세안 도시들과 협업 체제를 구축하겠습니다.
And the president says the accumulated technology and experience will not stop at smart cities. Rather, the South Korean government will solve problems that pre-existing cities are facing, working to create a synergy effect where both can prosper altogether. Park Hee-jun, Arirang News, Busan.
Now, South Korea says the ASEAN-Korea Commemorative Summit will be an opportunity for Seoul to further elevate its ties with the whole of Southeast Asia. Speaking on Sunday ahead of the official opening, Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa noted that during the 30-year partnership between Seoul and ASEAN, trade volume has jumped 20-fold, while personal exchanges have grown 40 times. She said the summit will provide the chance for in-depth discussions to further promote cooperation on various fronts like infrastructure and smart cities. She also said it's an opportunity to further gain support from ASEAN for the peace drive on the Korean Peninsula, adding that a separate session on the matter has been arranged for the first time. Separately, in a meeting with the Secretary-General of ASEAN, Kang called for continued cooperation for Seoul's signature new southern policies. Now, with its abundant natural resources and young labour force, Southeast Asia is emerging as a major player in the global economy. Over the course of this week, we have a bunch of special reports on the upcoming ASEAN-Korea and Mekong-Korea summit taking place in Busan. And today we start with our Yoon Jung-min for a closer look at ASEAN nations' economic potential.
Southeast Asia is rising as a global leader with a fast-growing economy and enormous potential. First established in 1967 with 5 countries, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, is currently made up of 10 Southeast Asian countries, including Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. It represents one of the world's largest economic blocs with a total population of over 652 million as of 2018. The total trade volume reached over $2.8 trillion in 2018, while the combined GDP amounted to more than $2.9 trillion, which is around 3% of total global GDP.
ASEAN is the third largest single economic bloc in Asia, following China and India. We call it a single bloc because the 10 countries have been integrating their economies. In fact, the 10 ASEAN countries share a free trade zone.
ASEAN possesses rich natural resources, including oil and natural gas, and young labor markets with about 60% of the population aged below 35. With its annual economic growth expected to reach 5% on average, experts say the region has a diverse economy based on the economic conditions of each country.
Based on the economic capacity of each country in the bloc, their key industries differ, from fourth industrial revolution technologies to labour-intensive industries. For example, Singapore and Malaysia have strong 5G, IT infrastructure and cutting-edge finance technology, while Vietnam has a competitive labour market.
Based on its vibrant economy and large consumer markets, ASEAN is expecting more cooperation within and outside the bloc for economic prosperity. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
Now, on the eve of the Korea-ASEAN Commemorative Summit, a special concert took place in the southern city of Changwon on Sunday to celebrate the opening of the 3-day event. Our Kim Da-mi has the highlights from the ASEAN Fantasia.
Around 150 drones lit up the sky of Changwon City, showing a message of harmony between Korea and Southeast Asia. The 6,000-seat Changwon Velodrome had sold out in just 1 minute and was packed with the first ladies of ASEAN countries and 3,000 multicultural families and migrant workers. Filmed before it, a Thai singer-songwriter mesmerized the audience with his sweet voice. All of his 3 concerts in Korea have sold out in the past. South Korea's Seoul also showed off her friendship with film through a beautiful duet. Myanmar's Miss World contestant Wailen welcomed the audience in Korean, and Cambodia's best-loved singer Miss Sophia and Indonesia's Hollywood star Cinta Laura performed in their national languages. The artists and Modu Choir, composed of multicultural kids in Korea, performed the ASEAN campaign song Side by Side, representing unity between the Southeast Asian nations. K-pop stars like boy group NCT 127 also performed at the concert, as did K-pop legend BoA, who paved the way for the Korean wave better known as Hallyu. BoA sang her hit song Number One, hoping that all 10 ASEAN countries become number one friends. Psy also got the crowd dancing, performing his catchy global hit Gangnam Style. Kim Da-mi, Arirang News.
Now, Busan, the host for these highly anticipated ASEAN meetings, has been welcoming the influx of summit participants to the city. But while they aren't working, what kind of experience can they expect while they're in Busan? Che Jong-yoon gives us a rundown on the must-see spots in one of Korea's best-loved cities.
Situated in the southeast corner of South Korea, Busan is a vibrant port city which also has plenty of places to relax and enjoy the seaside landscape. For a peaceful morning by the sea, visit Haedong Yonggung Temple, built more than 600 years ago. Greeted by a row of 12 zodiac animals, visitors can marvel at one of the country's only temples that overlooks the ocean, as most of the temples are up in the mountains. If you love walking along the sea, round off your day with some natural scenery and fresh sea air by trekking along Igide Park to Oryukdo Skywalk.
Built in an area between the East and South Seas, the Oryukdo Skywalk offers stunning views of 5 different islets. The 50-meter-long glass bridge also gives visitors the thrilling experiences of being able to walk 35 meters above the cliffs and crashing waves.
Gwanghwanli Beach rivals Haeundae in popularity, but has more of a relaxed city by the sea vibe with a view of Busan's landmark Gwanghwandegyu Bridge. Just a 15-minute walk from the beach is Millak Raw Fish Market, where locals get the freshest and cheapest raw fish.
Fishermen bring fish directly from the sea and sell them here. With a simpler distribution process and running ocean water in their tank, the fish are cheap, chewy, and tasty.
It's no exaggeration to say some people come to Busan for the food alone. With local specialties abound, lively markets offer a chance to try some great street food. At Tinken Market, visitors can enjoy yubu pocket, a winter favorite with glass noodles and thinly sliced vegetables. You can also beat away the chills with Busan specialty omuk or fish cakes along with some spicy rice cake tteokbokki. As you bite into the siatotteok or seed pancake at the nearby beef square, pumpkin, sunflower, and sesame seeds covered in cinnamon sugar ooze out from the crispy dough.
We enjoy the street food very much. There's a lot of variety and every one of it is very delicious.
Nearby is Gukje Market with vintage clothing and traditional items, as well as Chagalchi Fish Market where you can try various types of grilled fish. As the sun goes down, the Bay 101 attracts tourists with its cafes and restaurants, which have unbelievable views of the skyscrapers across the water in Haeundae District. The perfect place to relax at the end of the day. 최정윤, Arirang News, Busan.
Now, in the rest of the day's news, the South Korean government is warning Japan against any further attempt to spread wrong information on Seoul's decision to conditionally rethink its termination of their military info sharing pact. Such remarks coming just a matter of days after the South Korean government announced its U-turn. That U-turn come just hours ahead of the deadline as well. Our Shin Se-min files this report from Busan.
South Korea is warning Japan to fairly report on a recent deal to temporarily extend the deadline of the military info-sharing pact known as GSOMIA. Baffled by a string of announcements and reports out of the Japanese government and media that run totally counter to the South Korean government's own words, South Korea's National Security Director Chung Eui-yong fought back hard on Sunday. He rejected the Japanese government's claim that South Korea admitted to faults in its exports monitoring controls and suggested putting its WTO complaint over Tokyo's trade curbs on hold to bring Japan back to dialogue. Countering Japanese media reports that said it was a perfectly winning game for Japan, Seoul's top security chief said it was actually a success for South Korean diplomacy, which was based on principles and tolerance. Chung added there would not have been any deal under the terms laid out by Japan and warned he would like to tell Japan to quote-unquote try me. He also accused Tokyo of making groundless claims and trying to provoke Seoul. He noted that during a meeting Saturday between their foreign ministers Kang Kyung-hwa and Toshimitsu Motegi, Japan's foreign ministry apologized for incorrect information issued by its finance ministry. As for remarks by Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe reportedly saying that Japan made no concessions regarding the deal, Chung said he seriously questions the conscience of such comments being uttered by a national leader. The top national security advisor added that should Tokyo's actions continue, their negotiations will quickly reach a critical point, hinting at the termination of the deal at any time. Shin Se-min, Arirang News, Busan.
South Korea, China and Japan met at the tripartite environment ministers meeting in Kita, Kyushu, Japan over the weekend, where Seoul called on Tokyo to disclose the current status of the contaminated water caused by the Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster. South Korea's Environment Minister Jo Myung-rae sat down Sunday with his Japanese counterpart Shinjiro Koizumi and requested that there be transparency over how Tokyo was dealing with the situation. Jo also sat down with his Chinese counterpart for talks on the fine dust problem. A record number of voters cast their ballots in Hong Kong on Sunday to vote in the district council elections there, and early results suggest pro-democracy candidates have made huge gains in those elections, taking 171 out of the first 202 seats to declare. Voter turnout was around 71%, with 2.9 million votes cast. That record shatters the 47% turnout set 4 years ago. The record-breaking vote comes amid months of pro-democracy protests throughout Hong Kong. Now, just like the light beam swords or lightsabers we see in science fiction movies, researchers here in South Korea have found a way to cut through thick metals using lasers. However, unlike the movies, the technology will be put to rather more mundane use, shall we say, helping in the dismantlement of nuclear power plants. Park Se-young with more.
It's been 8 years since the Fukushima disaster in Japan, yet most facilities there have been left unattended. Due to the remaining radiation, it's difficult to dismantle the plant. But now Korean researchers have developed fiber optic laser technology to cut materials at nuclear power facilities.
The laser technology is advantageous for remote control and can reduce decommissioning waste disposal costs of secondary waste.
Dismantling nuclear power plants requires cutting down large facilities, removing radioactive contamination, and restoring the plants to their original environment. However, internal parts of the reactor are made of thick metal like stainless steel and carbon steel, which are difficult to cut and generate lots of secondary waste. The new technology can cut up to 100 millimeter thick metal underwater and is 4 times more efficient compared to existing technology.
Our technology is superior to the global technology standards. We can apply it to the dismantlement of domestic nuclear power plants and compete in the global market.
The study was published in 6 international journals in the field of lasers. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now to yet more tragic news from Korea's entertainment industry. K-pop star Goo Hara, a former member of the girl group Kara, was found dead on Sunday at her home in southern Seoul. While police say they're looking into the exact cause of the 28-year-old's death, it's speculated she committed suicide. This shocking incident comes less than 2 months after the death of her friend and K-pop star Seoul, who passed away at the age of just 25, also in an apparent suicide. Goo debuted in 2008 as a member of Kara and built on her K-pop career as a solo artist while branching out into acting and reality TV shows.
Good morning. A cold wave advisory is in place for Seoul and the surrounding regions, while a heavy snow advisory is in place for parts of Gangwon-do province. That's due to the easterly winds. Gangwon-do province is seeing a mix of rain and snow with up to 20 centimeters of heavy snowfall in places, while other eastern regions, including Jeju, could see 5 to 50 millimeters of rainfall. Meanwhile, Busan, where the ASEAN-Korea Commemorative Summit takes place, will have much cooler temperatures today, along with 5 millimeters of light rainfall. And for a closer look at today's temperatures, to dress warmly, there's been a big drop in readings today. In Seoul, it is waking up to -2 degrees Celsius. Lows are 7 to 8 degrees lower than yesterday in most parts of the country. And daily highs will not rise that much. Seoul and Gwangju will get up to 6 and 7 degrees respectively. Busan getting up to 13 degrees this afternoon. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
OK, well, that's where we're going to leave the news and weather for now. We will have more news updates and coverage of the South Korea-ASEAN summits from 9 a.m. Korea time in around an hour and a half from now. In the meantime, stay tuned to Arirang TV, and I'll be back here in Seoul from 10 a.m. Korea time. So until then, goodbye.
나는 아세안의